In a small town called Bethany, lived a man named Lazarus. He was loved by many, especially by his sisters, Mary and Martha. But one day, Lazarus fell gravely ill.
We need to send word to Jesus. He can heal him.
Martha nods and goes to the door. She opens it to find a messenger.
Quickly, go to Jesus and tell him, Lord, the one you love is sick.
The messenger nods and hurries off. Jesus is speaking to his disciples. The messenger approaches out of breath and goes before Jesus.
Lord, your friend Lazarus is very sick. His sisters ask you to come.
Jesus looks up, his face calm but thoughtful. The disciples exchange worried glances.
This sickness will not end in death. No, it is for God's glory, so that the Son of God may be glorified through it.
The disciples look confused.
But Lord, if Lazarus is sick, shouldn't we go to him right away?
Lazarus is asleep, but I am going to wake him up.
The disciples whisper among themselves, unsure of what Jesus means.
If he's just sleeping, Lord, he will get better.
Jesus stands, his voice serious but gentle.
Lazarus is dead. And for your sake, I am glad I was not there, so that you may believe. But let us go to him.
The village of Bethany is quiet, except for the sound of weeping. Mourners surround the house of Lazarus. Jesus and his disciples approach from a distance. By the time Jesus arrived, Lazarus had been in the tomb for 4 days. Mary and Martha were heartbroken, but they still held hope in their hearts. Martha spots Jesus approaching and runs to him, tears streaming down her face.
Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died.
Jesus looks at her with compassion.
Your brother will rise again.
Martha wipes her eyes, trying to believe.
I know he will rise again in the resurrection at the last day.
I am the resurrection and the life. The one who believes in me will live, even though they die, and whoever lives by believing in me will never die. Do you believe this?
Martha nods, her faith restored.
Yes, Lord. I believe that you are the Messiah, the Son of God.
Martha turns and runs back to the house to fetch Mary. Mary, still weeping, comes out of the house and falls at Jesus' feet.
Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died.
Jesus, deeply moved by their grief, began to weep. The disciples stand in awe, seeing their Lord moved to tears.
See how he loved him. But could he not have kept Lazarus from dying?
A large stone covers the entrance to a cave. Mourners stand in a circle, whispering and watching Jesus closely. Jesus stands before the tomb, his eyes filled with determination.
Take away the stone.
Martha looks concerned.
But Lord, by this time, there is a bad odor, for he has been there for 4 days.
Jesus turns to her with gentle authority.
Did I not tell you that if you believe, you will see the glory of God?
Martha nods. With a signal from Jesus, several men roll away the stone. The crowd watches in suspense, some covering their noses. Jesus lifts his eyes to heaven and prays.
Father, I thank you that you have heard me. I know that you always hear me, but I say this for the benefit of the people standing here, that they may believe that you sent me.
Jesus takes a deep breath and calls out in a loud, commanding voice.
Lazarus, come out!
The crowd gasps. After a brief tense silence, there's movement in the dark tomb. Slowly, Lazarus emerges, wrapped in burial cloths, alive. The onlookers are shocked, some crying, some praising. Jesus, smiling softly, turns to the crowd.
Take off the grave clothes and let him go.
Several people rush to Lazarus, unwrapping him. Mary and Martha embrace their brother, tears of joy streaming down their faces. The village is filled with whispers and excitement. Lazarus, Mary, and Martha walk beside Jesus as they talk and laugh together. The disciples follow behind. Many who witnessed this miracle believed in Jesus and his power over life and death. But not all were happy. Some saw this as a threat to their authority, setting into motion a plan that would lead to Jesus' ultimate sacrifice. Just as Jesus raised Lazarus from the dead, he offers life to all who believe in him. For he is the resurrection and the life, and in him, death has no victory.